All right, y'all. What's up? It's about that time for us to talk about some damn good music with some good pals. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. And we are kicking off episode 110 today. How are you fellas doing?
Doing great. Wonderful.
Too good. It's a little cold today. I don't know about you guys. It's like sunny, but it's hella windy and it's the wind just makes it feel cold, but it's good out here.
Kind of like
Yeah.
that around here too.
Raining off and on, like trying to rain, but not committing to the bit at all. So that's annoying.
Yeah.
But hell yeah. Well, we usually take this little intro part to ask, you been listening to anything cool other than what we're talking about?
How about you, Jake? What you got? Anything?
Yeah, a couple of stuff. I heard a little bit of Action Bronson's Planet Frog. I've been listening to that album every now and then. Some songs off of there are pretty fun. Um, that album was pretty good. I've still been bumping the new Isaiah Rashad album. Super good. I just got it. I just got the vinyl for it a week ago, which is surprising because last time, Dorian, that we did it, it took like 2 years. So
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I was stoked about that.
Wow.
But yeah, besides that, not a whole lot. Just some every now and then some things will come on shuffle. Been listening to a lot of Spanish music too, I guess. But yeah, these albums too.
Nice. Yeah, same thing. These three albums and kind of revisited a few different artists we've talked about before. I don't think we brought them up on the podcast, but a couple albums I reviewed or not reviewed, but listened to this week were Honor, Killed the Samurai, and then Descendants of Cain by Ka. Like at some point we will talk
So
about
good.
them, but like those albums are so like underrated. And now that he's gone, like nobody's going to hear that unless you talk about it. So just a great lyricist, and just gentle. Like his beats are gentle. His lyricism is just on point. Really cool rapper. R.I.P.
Oh yeah.
R.I.P. Cause
R.I.P.
hell underrated. His albums are really good.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. That's one that I still have yet to do like a full deep dive into, so maybe I'll do that here sooner rather than later, hopefully. Me personally, man, Matt, your pick inspired me to continue listening to Floater, particularly the Acoustics album and a lot of Angels in the Flesh was listening to uh revisiting some of those tracks, Mosquito, The Invitation, just incredible work. And then acoustics, on the table. Uh, I mean, just Jesus Christ, this band. I'm really excited to talk about them later. Um, Outside of that, nothing really. Had that gig last Friday, so was kind of listening to those tracks for a while, trying to get ready for that. But yeah, honestly, just a big floater kick recently, so I cannot complain about that.
Yeah, I've been on that floater kick too with that live album.
Yep.
It's like after Jake went to that show, it's like, oh, this live album is going to be in my rotation for a while, and it's been banging ever since.
Hell yeah. We love the sound of that. Well, without further ado, shall we hop on in?
Let's do
What?
it.
Let's do it to it. Alrighty. Well, that's Matt, that's Jake, and I am Dorian. This is episode 110 of What You Spinnin'. Go ahead and stick around for me. We're going to be right back to talk about my pick for this week. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in a bit. Peace.
We have two other albums we need to talk about. Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
we got two other albums we need to talk about before we can talk about Floater. And this one in particular, I'm pretty interested to see what y'all have to say about it. It's episode 110 of What You Spinnin'. I'm Dorian, that's Matt from the International Space Station, and that's Jake from his home in beautiful Central Oregon. Um, but yeah, my pick for this week is a little like it's Cluster Zuckerzeit, released in 1974. We've talked about a handful of albums that kind of fit within this realm where it's like ambient-ish, but also weird and wonky, like electronic type stuff. It's like a low budget PlayStation 2 game type shit, which I feel is a reference that we make a lot, but it's, hey, obviously we like shit like this. It's like if Devil May Cry didn't have like the industrial rock, like they would have used this shit. So yeah, that's my pick for this week. I thoroughly enjoyed this album. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of that Kieran Japanese album that I brought up a while back. Um, I did buy this in Portland with you guys when we went and saw the Hiding Places anniversary. So I like it because it's like, I bought it when we went and did something cool. So I always like shit like that. But yeah, what did you guys think? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on it. So hit me.
I'm actually curious to know how you stumbled across this band. Was it based off of things you listened to before? Was it based off Brian Eno? Like, I'm very curious. No.
Yeah, yeah. So I was going on an Eno kick, because like after I got pretty into Aphex Twin, and listening to ambient works too, I started going into his more like like not the stuff that was harder to digest with Aphex Twin, and then with at the same time I was getting into like music for airports, music for films, um, a little bit of Godspeed. This was like fuck 2 years ago almost at this point. So I was listening to a lot of Eno, a lot of Another Green World, My Life in the Bushel of Ghosts, like
Dude, you're like talking my language. I'm getting a musical boner over here. Like, stop. Stop.
right.
Yeah.
So I was like getting into like the weirder stuff of these like
Mm.
really big ambient artists, and this was just like a shuffle find. I think it played like I think it was Heisa Lippin is what it played first, and I was like, what the hell? And then
That's a cool track.
I recognized the cover and I was like, okay, I've seen Cluster in record stores, and it was never something I listened to. So it was another one of those just random shuffle finds, just going down the ambient hole. And I was listening to some pretty wonky out there stuff from these like big ambient artists. And so my Spotify algorithm was all sorts of fucked up, and it dropped Cluster into my lap. So shout out.
Nice. Yeah, I was just curious because this is very experimental for that time. It's different. It's not accessible at all. It's very like niche and like you don't know Noi? Like it's good stuff. It's good stuff. You got Redelius and Mobius from Harmonia, and then you got what's it, Michael from I'm not sure where he's from. Is he from? There's a few different artists in this band. He's from Noi.
Yeah, Michael Rother is
Yeah,
from he was one of the founding members of Noi
yeah, and he did
and
a
an
lot of the
early member of Kraftwerk too.
Okay. That's good to know. He did a lot of the programming on this album, it sounds like too. And you can
Hmm.
definitely see that like it's all pieced together. Some of it sounds like noise, some of it's very experimental, but all in all, it's it's different. It's Cluster in a sense. Cluster and Eno did an album together at some point, and this kind of reflects a lot of that sound too. But I'm really glad that you dove into this because this is cool music. It's not a lot of music that people have heard before. It's
Right.
different. It's experimental, just a lot of noise and like different samples and like, boop boop boop. So it's fun. 10 tracks of fun stuff. I love it.
Yeah. It is a fun album to like listen to, and kind of one of those ones where you kind of think about the recording process. You listen to songs like Wrote Ricky and you're like, what the hell was going on in the studio when they wrote this? It's literally
Mm.
just like, it's just fever dream music.
Mhm.
So hell yeah, I'm glad that you got a kick out of it.
Yeah, Matt, you were saying they're doing different productions and programming in this.
Yeah.
That's crazy to say that because it does sound like, super electronic, super with a bunch of different effects, a bunch of different things going on.
Mhm.
It is, in essence, a cluster, just a bunch of stuff going on. But it was really interesting. I've never heard of this. I've never stumbled upon this band or this album, anything off of this. So this was my first experience, and it was a good listen. Definitely at first, Dorian, I told you it sounded like elevator music at first for me. And then the farther that I went down the album, I was like, oh shit, no, this is crazy. Like they have delays going on, and like at certain songs, certain points, I was like questioning my speakers. I'm like, are my speakers getting fucked up? Like, is something wrong with this? No, they're just like changing the pitch of the song and like it fades in and out throughout. It's crazy. I think it's really interesting all the different things that they were doing with this album. And for it to come out so long ago in 74, that's insane. I haven't heard anything around this time, something similar to this. And I'm definitely interested to see that they have a Eno album. That's crazy. I have to look into that.
And it's not bad. It's really not. It's like Eno, we talk a lot about Eno and everything. He is, the godfather of ambient music. But it's another one of those weird pairings, like when he did Bushel of Ghosts with David Byrne, that was an interesting collab in and of itself. But then you get like just these eclectic minded motherfuckers, to collab on an album. And that Eno Cluster album is really not bad. Next time you're at Music Millennium, I think they usually have like a copy or two um, of that. And I keep meaning to pick it up because it's a good one to have on deck. Um, Story time. One of the first times, I think like the first time I ever listened to this album all the way through was when bought it and spun it. And I like tried to be nice. I was like, oh, we got some ambient music. I'm gonna put it on while we eat dinner. And then Wrote Ricky came on, and I was like, how warped is this fucking vinyl, dude? I was like, this thing sounds like shit. And then I was like, I literally like did this at the dinner table, like pulled up the thing and was listening to it. I was like, no, that's just how the song goes. All right, cool. So yeah, but it's a fun listen. It is one that kind of throws you for a curveball. They started off with Hollywood, which is a pretty, accessible song. And then it kind of goes down and you really do have to listen to it all the way through because there's some hidden gems in there. Songs like James start off very chaotic, but then by the end of it, you're like, this is actually kind of a decent track, to have like a horn sound in such an early song in the electronic scene was really interesting to me. And this is, Jake, you said it, like people weren't making electronic music back then. It was like these guys and Kraftwerk and fucking Eno and all of that stuff, but
Mhm.
it was nowhere near like if you could go back in time and show like Cluster or the guys in Kraftwerk, go back to like 1974 and be like, hey, this is what electronic music is nowadays. And it's just wah, blah, 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 blah. Just show them a video of an Excision show and their mind would just explode. Um, because it's like crazy. I've seen videos of Kraftwerk, doing shows in the early 70s and it's just everybody's just like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, oh, they have no idea what's coming like legitimately. So I'm glad that you guys like this because it is an interesting thing to listen to.
Very much so. And like you said, like having comparison to electronic music nowadays, like these guys definitely set the groundwork for like,
Oh yeah,
would build upon. And then Harmonia is another band that all these guys created together after this album. Like they went, Michael and then Mobius and Rodelius got together and created Harmonia. They did an album with, and they did their own stuff too. But just a different like niche. Those three guys and Eno and a few other people like created a sound similar to Kraftwerk that just wasn't heard of at that time. And you can't compare it to anything. It's experimental. They're using different electronic equipment, different synthesizers and things like that, and tape looping. It's different. There's nothing else coming out in the world at that time that sounded like this. So as much as it's not very accessible, it's very cool. And if you like ambient, different music, this is the one for you.
absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I hadn't heard any of this, but this is also right up my alley. Like I like crazy experimental stuff like this. And the fact that they have so many different bands and collabs with each other and different projects, I have to look into it more because I'm genuinely curious just how all of this comes to be. Like you have songs like Rosa where it's almost like a Minecraft and a Mega Man crossover at a certain point, and then like Rotor where it's just like a bunch of madness going on. Uh, and yeah, it's just something I hadn't heard, which is crazy because we brought up a lot of albums, a lot of different artists all over the world on this podcast, and this is one that I feel like should have at some point landed on my table, but it never has. So thank you for bringing it up because I'm definitely going to have to do a little more listens to it.
Of course. Yeah, I'm glad that you got a kick out of it. Um, Fun fact about Hans Joachim Rodelius. You look him up. Somehow he's still around. He's 91 years old. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Um, he was born in 1934 in Berlin, Nazi Germany, and was an unwilling member of the German youngsters in the Hitler Youth. Unwilling, though. They make sure
Well,
to say he was an unwilling participant. Um, so that's fucking crazy that, someone was unfortunately put in that position and then they come out and, they're up there on the upper echelon of like the biggest ambient and early electronic artists. So just crazy. I remember when I got this album, I looked him up. I was like, oh, what? I was like, because I'm a nerd, obviously. This fucking podcast is a good representation of that. And so I immediately started diving in. I was like, who are these cocksuckers in Cluster? What are they doing making crazy songs like this? And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, they went through some shit. Okay. They were alive during the arguably one of the worst times in world history. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Noted. But yeah, I'm really fucking glad that you guys like it. It's pretty short, pretty sweet. A lot of crazy stuff going on. You mentioned a couple of tracks, Jake, but shall we dive into top threes?
Definitely. Just a unique band. I know like Michael left his instruments just for them to fuck around with to create this album. And just like, hey, here you go. Here's a drum track and a four-track recorder. Just have fun with it. So you can definitely hear that throughout the whole album.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's Michael Rother. I'll have to go back. I haven't really listened to a lot of Noi, but being that he co-produced this album, I kind of want to listen to his stuff to kind of, maybe.
You'll hear it. You'll hear it. You'll
Yeah.
be like, oh, this is Noy. Like
Yeah.
a lot of that influence is on this album for sure.
Hell yeah. Nice, nice. Well, I will go first. Honorable mention for me is Caramel. Really like that song. It's a nice kind of easygoing track. Number three is Heisa Lippen for me. That was the first track I heard off of this, and I really liked that. Number two is Marzipan. Really reminded me of Mort Gosson and Plantasia with that song. So I really liked that. And then number one for me is Hollywood. I just love like that track starts out and it just has like such a suspenseful kind of feel to it for me. So I really liked that song. Yeah, yeah, those are my top threes.
Nice. I'll go next. For me, honorable mention James. Um, that first time I heard it, it just had me questioning what I was listening to. Like, what is this? Like all the delays and effects that they have, and it has that like slowly like building the plot with the song. Super cool. Number three, Rosa. Talked to that one a little bit. Number two was Rotor, and then my favorite was also Marzipan. I really like that song.
Heck yeah. Honorable mention for me was the Hey Bee Lippin was a really cool song. I like that track. And then 321, Fa Shi Tong, Rody Ricky, and then James is my favorite track. That one stuck out for me, and I just kept listening to that one over and over. So
Falshy Tong is a great song too. I love that one. It almost made my honorable mentions. But hell yeah, guys. Great picks. I'm glad that you guys got a kick out of this album. It is an interesting one. I really just kind of wanted to throw a wrench into, having three albums that are easy to listen to, which we kind of had a little streak of. I was like, let me throw a fucking monkey wrench into the machine here. And so I'm glad that it paid off. But yeah, that was Zuckerzeit by Cluster, released in 1974. Great album, and that's the first pick to get us kicked off today for episode 110. That was my pick. We've got Matt, and we've got Jake, and we've got myself. It's What You Spinnin'. Go ahead and stick around. We'll be right back to talk about Jake's. Peace. All right, folks. It's time to get down to business and relax and unwind and just lounge for pick number two of episode 110 of What You Spin. And I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. And speaking of Jake, that little rat bastard, we got to talk about your pick, my man. What you got coming for us?
Yes, we've been lounging. I hope you guys have been lounging and everybody at home. If you get a chance to, definitely put this on your speaker, listen to it, headphones, whatever, what have you. It's Jazzmatazz, Volume 1 by the legendary Guru. We've talked about Guru before. in the hip hop bracket, and also, oh God, early on in the pod, early episodes with Gangstar. But this is a solo project that he had. Really cool concept album, just a mix of hip hop and jazz. He brought a lot of jazz musicians on this album to perform. To name a few: Donald Byrd, Nadia Davenport, Brendan Marsalis, a couple cool MCs also like DC Lee and MC Solar. Has a really cool song on here, Roy Ayers. So just a lot of really cool collective artists coming together on this project to perform something spectacular, something amazing. If you love jazz, if you love hip hop, this album's for you. I knew you guys would get a kick out of it. What did you guys think about it? What was your guys' thoughts on first listen? Or if you guys have heard this before, what were your thoughts?
This was the first time for me. And I like how it ties into Roy Ayers, your last pick from last week. It kind of blends everything together. And Guru, like setting the precedent with the jazz, or the jazz style, and that I feel like that time, that period, early '90s, late '80s, that's what hip hop was about. Blending those jazz samples and creating a new sound, whether it be Tribe Called Quest, Juggernauts, a lot of the people we've talked about. It all blends together, and this guy does it really well. Like it flows. He's simple with his lyricism. It's not overcomplicated at all. He's very direct in what he's saying, and the samples are cool. I love it. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, you said it perfectly. I mean, this is just a good representation of the kind of origins of hip hop of the hip hop that the three of us have come to love, excuse me, and appreciate and talk about a lot on the show. Sorry, Zoom's tweaking. Anyway, um, yeah, just that, early jazz or early hip hop was so ingrained in jazz music and soul and funk. And I really, really like that, we get Guru, who is regarded as, one of the more unsung heroes of early 90s hip hop and everything. And unfortunately, we lost him far too early. But the fact that he combined live jazz and, actually rather than having it be chock full of jazz samples, there are some, but he did, get the likes of Donald Byrd and Roy Ayers and he would later go on to work with, like Branford Marsalis, who is an insane jazz saxophone player. So the guy knew his shit, is what I'm trying to get at, as far as like jazz music goes, outside of its connection with hip hop. So the fact that he combined these two things is nothing short of just incredible, in my opinion. I really, really liked this. Um, and Matt, you said it too. It's not overcomplicated, his rhymes or anything. It's so laid back and just feels so casual, like an almost no pressure type of thing. Like, hey, we're just gonna have fun. It feels as if, how do I phrase this? It's almost as if you're listening to your friend rap, or whatever, or like,
Yes.
kind of just spit bars over some jazz beats. Like it's very conversational with the listener, like it's not him bouncing back and forth with another guy or, whatever.
Mhm.
It's him just, kind of really directly speaking to the listener, which is rare in any genre of music, especially in hip hop at this time in its history.
Mhm.
So I really fucking liked that. It felt super intimate. One of the more intimate albums I think that we've covered in a little bit. And so I was a very, very big fan of this. I probably heard Loungin', maybe Down the Back Streets, but I hadn't. This was really my first exposure to this album, and I was a big fucking fan. So thank you for bringing it up, man.
Hell yeah. I'm glad to hear you guys' thoughts. Yeah, it's an amazing album. He's done four other Jazzmatazz volumes, so definitely go check those out. This one was a cool introduction to it because, I mean, he already had something lined up with Gangstar with DJ Premier, and then to say, hey, I want to do my own thing. I want to make my own album, but instead of it just being a solo project, he's like, let me bring it back to, the underground. Let me bring up all these jazz artists. And this really hasn't been done a lot. Like this is one of the first times in hip hop we're seeing hip hop and jazz do a live collaborative effort with a bunch of different artists. Like we've seen this before now. It's become more and more frequent. You have the project Bad Bad with Ghostface. That's an example. But early on in hip hop in the 90s, it wasn't really a thing. It was more so sample heavy than it was live music.
Mm.
So just the concept alone in itself is wild to have all these different jazz musicians come with an MC to be rapping. And yeah, like Dorian said it perfectly. You hear the songs on this album and they're just super casual, super friendly. You could put them on. You have songs like When You're Near. It's got that like heartwarming feeling to it. You know, it's like very friendly, very homey. Um, and then songs like Le Bien Le Mal, where you get this complete different side of hip hop, where you have a French MC rapping with Guru, and they're trading bars back and forth. Like it's beautiful. It's awesome. I love it. Yeah, it's a fantastic album.
Take a look at yourself. That track stands out. You know, that's the one for me. The Roy Ayers collab, and like it's just it's catchy. It's summertime vibe. It's just happy in general. And yeah, for me, that's the one on the album that just stands out really well.
Yeah, and Jake, you mentioned Les Bien Le Mans, and it's like that's, having a foreign language speaker on a hip hop project, that was not something that was really being done a whole lot, especially for someone as big as Guru was, and so really highlighting early on, again, early in the, overarching, storyline of hip hop and its popularity, you have Guru again, just really having an eye and an ear for hip hop and music. And, because Guru was a producer as well. He wasn't just an MC, he had his hand in production as well. You can tell with this. But I really liked the fact that he had a French dude just on here. I was like, and it's kind of like a track that's kind of at the end of the album, and so I was like, wait a minute, what the hell? I was like, hold on, I was like, let me look into this. uh so yeah, I think it's he was really ahead of his time with a lot of this shit. And that was one of the bigger examples, because I mean, now look at it. We've talked about it a lot, how big like drill rap is. And we've talked a lot about how multiple different we've talked about a lot of different albums where their language is in English. And that's like something that's becoming, I mean, for fuck's sake, Bad Bunny just did the Super Bowl. Like that's a perfect example. And
Yeah.
so Guru was like ahead of his time by decades with this shit. And so I thought that was really cool, because again, it's not something that you were hearing a lot back then.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely very experimental, very out there. To even like think about doing all of this, it's insane. I don't know if they did any live shows with this. If they did, that'd be fucking legendary. That'd be insane. But yeah, it's crazy that just having that concept, having that idea, bringing it to the front and actually making it work, and then having consecutive albums afterwards where it works perfectly as well. Like Volume 2, also fantastic album. Definitely also go give that one a listen if you like this one. But yeah, man, just being a pioneer, just being different, doing something different.
Mhm.
Um, I love that about Guru. He's always been kind of uh, that MC. You said it perfectly, Dorian, also, where it's not super big, not super like regarded as one of the best MCs or what have you, but he is like an unsung hero in hip hop, especially in the East Coast early on. So yeah, if you guys ever get a chance to pick this album up, there's a really cool like just whole dialogue at the back of the album that gives kind of a breakdown of the story, how they thought about getting everybody together, however they got connections with everyone. Yeah, it's really awesome. It's really cool. It's a whole nother topic you can talk about in itself. But yeah, fantastic. I'm glad you guys liked it. I'm glad we were able to bring it up because it's definitely one that I love bringing up. I love jazz. I love hip hop. Combine them both, it's recipe
Mhm.
for awesomeness. So
Hell yeah. And just saying, I would rather see this live than Nas with an orchestra at Carnegie Hall. Okay? That's all I'm
yeah.
gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, it's truly something spectacular, and I love getting to bring up an album where we kind of get to dissect and really zoom out and look at, overarching kind of themes and, the origins of a genre as a whole.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I was a bit, like I said, big fan. And don't worry, it's already on my radar. Hard to miss that album cover. I'm waiting. Uh, I do think just based off of this and how easy of a listen this was, I'm probably just going to end up throwing on volumes two, three, and four in the background while I'm cooking or cleaning one of these days and just see how I like those because I think one of those is the one that has Branford Marsalis and I love him as a sax
Mm,
player. Um, but shall we?
Let's do
yeah,
it.
let's. I'll start since I brought it up. Honorable mention for me, I would go Transit Ride. Pretty cool album, pretty cool song. I love that. Number three, When You're Near. Talked that one a little bit. I love Nadia Davenport. Her voice is beautiful. She's on this album a few times. Number two, Slicker Than Most. That gives me that cool, like, like flowy vibe, like you're walking through, a crowded space, just swinging your shoulders, confident. And then my favorite track, Le Bien Le Mal. I think it's so cool that Guru and Solar are just going back and forth, just trading bars. I have no idea what MC Solar is saying, but it sounds awesome.
Hell yeah. Um, Honorable mention for me is Down the Back Streets. I feel like that one and fuck, what was that one you just mentioned, Jake? About like the swing, like the confidence, like those two.
Lick of the Most.
Yeah, those two songs lean more toward like the hip hop side of things. They're like very 90s hip hop, and I kind of like how you go down the track list and they kind of go side to side with that. So yeah, Down the Back Streets was my honorable mention. Number three for me is Les Bien Le Mans. We talked about that one, just a great song. Number two for me is Take a Look, and the number one for me is Loungin'. Just perfect way to start off the album with that introduction and then into that song. I think it really just sets the tone for the album and it doesn't stray from that formula, but in like the best way possible. So yeah, Loungin's my number one.
Like, yeah, no, great album. Glad we got to talk about it. For me, honorable mention would be Trust Me. That song had like the kid and play house party vibes. Like, I don't know, just a really cool song. And then 321 Slicker Than Most. Take a Look at Yourself. And then No Time to Play was my favorite track.
Ooh, nice.
Hell yeah. No Time to Play sounds like a good name for a horror movie. But hell yeah, Jake, great fucking pick, man. Jazzmatazz by Guru of Gangstar fame. Released, what year was this released?
93.
93. A great, great pick. Go ahead and listen to it and listen to volumes two, three, and four as well. That was Jake's pick for this wonderful episode 110 of Whatchu Spinnin'. We're going to be right back to talk about one of our favorite bands on the pod and a local hero of a band with Matt's pick. It's Whatchu Spinnin' episode 110. Go ahead and stick around for me. Deuces. Rock on, crouton. It's about time to wrap this baby up and send it to the goddamn moon. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. It's been a beautiful episode of episode 110 of What You Spinning. I just messed that up epically, but oh well. But we got one last album to talk about before we let you know what's coming in about 2 weeks' time. And Matt, you have the honors of going last today. So why don't you let the people at home know what we're talking about today?
We are revisiting an artist, one that I brought up early in the podcast, essentially because they're a band that I grew up with and they're also local and one of our favorite artists that we've all seen together live and by ourselves. And we just have a good appreciation for this rock band. This is 1993 Sync by Floater, their debut album. Uh, it's quite a debut, to be honest. I feel like this album was done really well, produced really well, laid out really well. I feel like it's a concept album in many ways. One of the first things I heard at a Floater show was somebody that was in front of me talking about the band. They're like talking to one of their friends, and I probably mentioned this before, but they're like, it's a modern day Pink Floyd. And I thought about that at the time. I'm like, dude, what? Because I was into Pink Floyd. This isn't Pink Floyd, but if you step back and listen to the music, it's got that ambient Pink Floyd sound to it at some points during the songs and the structures throughout every album they've done. So years later, I'm like, yeah, that's a good comparison. In the end, Sync's a great album. It's got the lyricism. It's got Rob, Dave, and Pete doing their thing together as musicians. They've started to like kind of learn what they're doing together. And this album is just so good for a debut. I mean, I could gush about it all day long, but lyrically, musically, it's got so many samples from things that I love, such as The Twilight Zone, different movies I watched growing up. So many references from movies you can go on for days. But Floater, Sink, what'd y'all think?
I like the rhyme at the end there. Floater, sink, what'd you think? Ba, 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 da. Yeah, man, this is easily one of the strongest debuts that we've ever talked about. And it's no shock to anybody that it's coming from Floater. If you want to talk about consistency, I think Floater, like they have, done a lot of different sounds. We've talked about Glyph, we've talked about Angels in the Flesh, we've seen them perform their entire Alter album. Like we have a lot of exposure to a lot of different albums outside of our individual fandom of these bands or this band. And like Rob's vocal consistency has never wavered. Jake, you saw him at the beginning of the month. I saw him last year playing, Peter the Destroyer off of this album. And I was like, went and listened to this album really for the first time after that show. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, he literally hasn't changed vocally. And they just have such a raw primal fucking energy on this album that it's just insane. And I was listening to this album this week and I couldn't help but go back and start comparing it to albums that came out after this because I was like there's no fucking way. And it's like this album is almost a completely different beast than any of their other ones, but there's also massive similarities, between this and Angels and Glyph. And so just a lot to dissect here. I just love the raw energy. Matt, you said it was basically a concept album. I fucking agree. Sorry, I had a text come up. I was in the middle of reading. But anyway, yeah, I'm a big fan of this album, obviously.
I hadn't heard of this album, and I know us talking about and going to floater shows these past couple years, you guys have brought up and teased like, oh, just wait for sync. And I hadn't heard it. I was waiting. I was waiting for someone to bring it up so I can give it a listen. And fucking whoa, holy shit. It's a fantastic listen. For a debut, that blows my mind. Because I knew that this was their first album, but hearing it and being like, oh, wow, this is where this sound comes from. And this is similar to what song Glyph, and this is similar to this and that. And it's cool seeing like, where it started, where the creation of Floater was. And I hadn't heard any of these songs. Listening to the album now, I did hear a couple of songs that they played at the show. At first, I had no idea. Like Thin Skin, they played that at the show. I feel like
Yes.
God damn it.
they had to have some other things that came up, but that song stood out to me, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, so that's what it was. Like I tried looking like online if there was like a set list that anyone posted. There was nothing, so I just had to,
Me
you
too.
know, get lucky and see if I could listen to it. And yeah, a couple of songs off of here, I was like, wait a minute, that's familiar. I've heard that before. But the whole album as a whole, man, just blew my mind. I wasn't ready for it. I'm still kind of processing everything from the last show. But still, man, I've been also on a floater kick, so thank you.
Yeah, this is a fun album. It got me into the band. The song They kind of drew me back into Floater because in high school I was a lot of uh like hip hop and just, not Floater, and I felt like it was not my stuff. And then I heard the band a few times. I heard Danny Boy, heard Cinema, and then They off this album at a party one time. I was like, "Who is this?" And it's like, "This is Floater." I'm like, "Okay." So I liked it at like complete spin around and became the hugest fan ever. So this album, holds a place in my heart. They were so young when they made this album. I think, 18, 19 years old when they made this. So creative at that point. And they're all just blending so well as musicians. Like, if you compare this to a lot of the things that came out in 93 that were mainstream, like they don't hold a candle to this. Like there's no way you can compare it to this. This album's so good and so underrated. And Floater's been that kind of band that's kind of stayed low on the radar. That's fine, but this is better than a lot of things that came out that year specifically. I put it at the top for rock albums, in that genre in that era for sure. And this is my band, man. I love these guys live. Their sampling is so cool. It got me into watching a lot of movies like Apocalypse Now. They do a lot of sampling of that and 17 and Snowblind, Twilight Zone. Just so many cool samples that got me into watching cool movies that I'd never heard of. And Floater's like a hometown hero in a sense. You know, they're the high school band and they've stayed true to their roots and they're still rocking. Jake, like you saw them a few weeks ago. Dorian, you saw him last year. I'm sure we'll see him again before they stop at some point. So yeah, I love this album. One of my favorite Floater albums for sure. Besides this and Angels, you know, this is the one.
Hell yeah. Well, and it's like speaking of Angels and Glyph, you look at the albums that they cranked out before the end of the 90s.
Hmm.
You've got Burning So Sabra in there, which I was listening to this week. Fucking underrated album, I feel like, even for me personally. I literally named my car after that album because I was listening to Independence Day off of that album when I
Hmm.
got in my huge car accident. Um, but yeah, you look at those albums that they just cranked out because I think like they did the Metallica thing where they put out fucking 3 to 4 insane albums
Hmm.
within 7 years. And it's like, Jesus Christ, man, like when does it stop? And then you go and listen to Sync, and then you go and listen to Angels, or you go and listen to Glyph, and you
Hmm.
just see it's like a graph where it just like immediately goes up because you're like, oh shit, they were just their hair was on fire, they were playing their asses off, like just incredible, insane. And it brings up the thing that, we've talked about on this podcast, but Matt, you and I have talked about this in personal conversations where we're like, the fact that nobody knows about Floater is one of the most frustrating yet rewarding things of all time because it's like this is one of the best bands of all time, in my opinion. And it's criminal that they aren't touring and playing like fucking Download Festival in the UK or whatever. But then it's like, thank God, because I can put money on it that they'll either be at the McDonald or the Cuthbert
Hmm.
every year, which I am eternally grateful for. But it's like, Jesus Christ, if more people knew about, like, this week especially, I was sending everybody on the table, Thin Skin, Snowball. I was just like, anybody who I knew would give a fuck. I'm like, listen to
Hmm.
this goddamn song, please. And then they'd be like, oh, I like that. I'm like, yeah, they're from Eugene, dude. Get with the program.
You don't know Noi? Yeah,
Yeah,
come on.
exactly. You don't know no, you don't
Come
know
on.
Floater, dude. They're from your backyard.
Yeah, and you
Your
can't
dad probably
pigeonhole
went to high school with them.
you can't pigeonhole Floater into any genre or sound because they're rock, they're ambient, they're a mix of both. They're slower, they're softer, they're harder, they're faster. Like there's nobody sounds like Floater, and it's too bad that, like you said, Dorian, they didn't get that big recognition. I know when Glyph came out, they were looking at major labels signing them, and their sound was so different that a lot of people didn't know where to place them, and maybe that's nobody's fault, but I'm glad they didn't sell out. I'm glad they didn't get big. I'm glad they're our Eugene, Portland hometown band and they still tour and we get to go see them and sit front row and not pay, $100 a ticket. It's fucking Floater. It's great. That's what Eugene's about, and I love that it's a hometown thing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it makes it very like it's much smaller than what it should be because they can absolutely be like selling out like like arena stadiums and these big venues, but I just saw them in a shoebox 2 weeks ago. Like it was a small thing and it was packed. Like I was rubbing shoulders and elbows against everybody. Like that's that's cool that they kept it local, that they kept it for the fans here in Pacific Northwest. Because I mean, yeah, they this is where they belong. And for it to be a debut album, like you see it from the beginning, you see it from the get-go. Like the song structures, the lyrics, it was all there pretty well thought out and made from the ground up. It was perfect. The songs they flow into each other perfectly. You get some ambient tracks that are kind of like preliminary for the other bigger songs. Some slow down songs, some that are kind of, they'll have samples and just sounds going on in the background, and then boom, it goes into they, and then it goes into Thin Skin, and then it's just song after song. It's like I was looking at the track list on here, and I have like 80% of the songs liked on this album. Um, so yeah, it's like it makes it easy to fall in love with and keep going back listening to it.
Yeah, those
Hell yeah.
violins that lead into Weary, it's just like it stops the whole album in general. You're like, it's so heavy, and then that song comes on, you're like, oh, and you can actually hear what the band, represents lyrically and poetically.
Mhm.
And that's such a good song.
Yeah, Weary is great. It's like, oh, you thought we were just headbanging and playing our asses off? What if we showed you that we actually know how to write a damn good song, as
Mm.
if we hadn't already? But yeah, I love the way that the songs flow from one to the next. 17 into Snowblind, like the end where it starts to do that bass delay. Like
You got
Rob,
the Marlon Brando sample from Apocalypse Now. There's no way,
yes,
like it's just
yes.
insane. Still, eons later, that's such a cool intro and comparison. Yeah.
Dude, I would literally be listening to this and then I would hear 17 fade into Snowblind and then I would just skip back to 17 and then listen to like the last minute and a half because it's such a seamless thing and you just hear like Rob Wynea is using so much like there's just so much bass delay, which is something that nobody really ever does,
Mhm.
that it literally it just to be crass, it makes my fucking dick hard. I'm just like I hear it and I'm like oh my God, it's literally what I love doing, just getting high and playing my bass, but like throwing weird delays on it. And it just creates like when you, so to nerd out for just a second, like when you use a delay pedal, depending on how you have it set, you can like catch the note. And so you basically play, you like hit the string one time for every, you'll hit the string one time and then it'll just do like four. And so you're really like playing a quarter of the notes you think it sounds like you're playing. And so it's
Mhm.
just like, oh my God. Like, dude, when I first heard Snowblind last summer, I was like, this is easily one of the best songs in their catalog. And then the 17 fade in with that Brando sample and all this stuff. It's like, there's no way in hell that this is their debut, but it fucking is. These guys were like, they knew, man. They were like, they got into that little studio and they're like, hey, listen, we're about to make a crazy album. And then we're gonna shock Eugene with the rest of our discography. Y'all ready? So big fan, big fan. I'm really glad that we got to talk about Floater once again.
Mhm.
Absolutely, yeah. Any chance I get to listen to another new project of theirs, I love it. Especially if you guys keep bringing it up. No complaints on my end. They have a bunch of different, like that too. It's so different. Some songs will be heavy, some will be slow, some are just ambient and just samples, and then there's an acoustic track on every album. Like
Yeah,
Out of Sheer Loneliness, they always have to have one of those. And then the last song, if you even want to call it a song, but it's just like a perfect way to end the album. It's like just, hey, you just got mind fucked by our music. Just listen to birds chirping and relax. Try to catch your breath.
yeah. Just
Agreed. Yeah.
relax.
Mhm. They're able to slow it down with songs like Tell the Captain and, Out of Sheer Loneliness and just those interludes that are just ambient and nothing sounds, for the most part. So Floater,
Yeah.
great hometown band, they've been doing it forever and they're still doing it now. Hopefully we'll get to see them again live. I'm glad you guys like this album. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, head to toe, there's nothing wrong with this album. It's great and it's very underrated. And if you've not listened to it before, please go out and check it out and then dive into Floater because not be disappointed and you'll come out and thanking us and want to come on the podcast and talk about Floater. And we might let you on.
We might let you. We might. If anybody wants a good timeline of where to start and end with the three albums that we've brought up of theirs, I'd go sync Angel's Glyph. I think that's a good.
Perfect.
I
That's
think that's a
great.
good. Those are the three albums you need to listen to, and then wherever else you land, whether it's Floater Lives double disc or uh fucking
Live at the
acoustics
Aladdin. Yeah.
Live at the Aladdin's a great one. Just incredible stuff all the way around. One thing I did want to mention just real quick, there's like certain times on this where their guitar and bass tone was very like typo negative esque. And I was kind of digging that, like on like Kill the Girl. I was like, oh, this is like a Bloody Kisses track. Like I was like, it's not too far off. So hell yeah. But what do we think about top three it up, Matt?
Let's do that. We'll tie a little
Hell yeah.
type of negative into this top three, but they opened for them when they released this album when they played at John Henry or yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Whoa.
Typo Negative played at John
Dang.
Henry's and they opened for him.
I would have turned to dust.
I read that online earlier. I was like, what? Typo Negative played at John Henry's in Eugene and then Floater opened for him? Okay.
That's
Wow.
That's like
incredible.
that's like a Manson Nine Inch Nails tour. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like sounds
That's
pretty cool.
fucking crazy.
For me, honorable mention, I got two. I'm gonna take a page from Dorian's book and have two honorable mention. They, like I said, one of the other tracks that got me back into Floater in high school, and like, okay, this is a band that I like. And then Peter the Destroyer, based on the four different parts and how that's like a concept song. That if that doesn't make the album a concept album, I don't know what does. That's just it's a great song. And then 321, 17, Snowblind, the way those two songs go into each other, and then Thin Skin was my favorite song because I've got a brother and he's next in line.
A
Mm.
honorable mention for me, I'll tag onto that. My honorable mentions are Thin Skin and Manic. Really liked Manic. It was kind of a later one that I was like, man, I love the fuck out of this song. Number three for me is Peter the Destroyer. When I saw them at the Cuthbert last summer, they played that, and Rob literally after the show, like, or after that song, looked at Dave Amador and was like, that was a particularly blazing version of Peter the Destroyer. And Dave just like went, like, it was just very, their dynamic on stage is so funny. And yeah, just that, boom, bam, like that bass line is just so beefy and nasty. I love the way they mixed the bass on this. Number two for me, 17. Just really liked that song. Just the anytime Rob is just like doing a long note singing wise is so just badass to me. And the number one for me is Snowblind. Just that for atrocity makes me want to do the fucking just I just want to kick someone's head off their goddamn shoulders when I listen to that song. Like once it does that for atrocity, dum 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 dum, I'm
Yeah.
like crowd killing. So
Yeah, all over this album is something different. For me, honorable mention, Thin Skin. At first, I heard it and I was like, wait a minute, I've heard this before because I did. It was a lot better hearing it first time live. Number three, Manic. That song also snuck up on me. Number two, 17. And then my favorite track, Matt, was They.
Nice.
Kind of close towards the end of the album,
Mm.
but kicks ass too.
Yeah. One more thing, at a floater show that I went to when I was in my probably my mid 20s or early 20s, uh, at some point after a song ended, Rob stopped the show. He's like, "We need to replace the snare drum. Peter broke it." He's like, "I've only known two things that can break a snare drum: Peter and a shotgun." I was like, "Fuck, dude, he was pounding that thing." I don't know
yeah,
what song
dude.
they were playing, but I was like, "That's pretty cool." It could have been old
Pete,
too. I don't know, but I was like, how did he
right.
do that? You know?
Well, Pete was a big dude. Like Pete
Yeah.
was a
Sure.
like he was a broad, he was built like a
Yeah.
brick shit house, you know?
Yeah.
So I could imagine. And especially back then, dude.
Mhm.
Jesus
At the
Christ. Like
Wow Hall,
again,
yeah.
that like oh, Floater at the Wow Hall, you know they were playing their absolute
The
asses
whole
off.
place is shaking. You know, you can't stop. Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
Jesus.
the fucking I want
Mhm.
to go see them at the Crystal Ballroom. That's still like a goal of mine because of the bouncy floor type shit.
Mhm.
Like
It does bounce, yeah.
before I turn 35, I'm gonna go up there so that way I can get in the pit and fuck around a little bit. But hell yeah, Matt. I mean, just a killer album. We already know everything. Like we already know Floater, man. But not like this. We haven't covered him being, this primal and energetic, just all of this shit. So that was 1993's debut album from Floater titled Sync, which was Matt's pick for this week. Just incredible work. Like I said, listen to Sync, Angels, and then Glyph, and you will not be disappointed. But go ahead and stick around. We're going to tell you what's coming in about 2 weeks' time. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. We'll see you in a sec. Goodbye. God damn it, boys. Well, hey, it's time to talk about everybody's favorite part of the show when we introduce each other to what's coming next episode, whether that's 2 weeks' time or a couple weeks longer than that. But we go in the order that we talked today, which means I'm going first. Hey, what's up? My name's Dorian. That's Matt, and that's Jake. Um, this is one we're all familiar with. I know we've all heard it, even if we haven't covered it on the pod. I'm revisiting an artist and it has something to do with an artist we just brought up, but I'm going Pink Floyd's Animals.
Oh, we're going there.
Pink Floyd's Animals, the precursor to The Wall. So,
Wow.
I've been waiting for that one. What's up with all the fucking pigs, man?
It's a fun one.
I'm
It's a
bringing up
really good
something.
one.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I will definitely listen to that after this. I'm bringing one up, something new, something out of left field. Not really something I bring up a whole lot of this genre, but this is one that I like. I feel like might as well bring it up. Came out in '94. It's Soundgarden's Super
Woo,
Unknown.
man, that's fun.
I
Hell
have
yeah.
so many, I have so many memories. I have so many
That's
grow.
like a it's like an opposite field home run. I was not expecting that at
Me
all.
either.
It's a good one.
Love it. I'm gonna round it out and stick in the 90s and I've been playing my acoustic guitar a little bit more. I brought it out of the closet, wiped the dust off. That's how long it's been sitting in there. I'm just fucking around with it. So this artist, very acoustic. This whole album's an acoustic guitar vibe, but from 1997, Days of the New, their debut album, self-titled Days of the New. Travis Meeks, great guitar player. Kind of a sad story, but cool musician. This is a fun album. I think you'll like it.
You said it's Days of the New.
Days of the New, self-titled.
I've heard that name, but nothing by him. So I'm very intrigued and I love a good acoustic. Maybe I fuck around and bring my acoustic over tomorrow. We'll see what we get
Ooh,
into.
you might need to.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Well, fucking Animals by Pink Floyd, great album. Super Unknown by Soundgarden, great album. Days of the New, their debut self-titled. If I know anything about Matt, that's a fucking great album too. And that is going to be episode 111 of Whatchu Spinnin'. But for now, this has been episode 110. And we cannot thank you enough for sticking around till the end, or fast forwarding straight to the end because you didn't give a fuck about these albums. That's okay. However you listen to the show is however you listen to the show. Okay. But hey, go ahead, tell everybody you know about the podcast. We're everywhere you find podcasts, whether it's fucking Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever. Go ahead and let people know. We're mainly video, except for Apple Music. Not that there's a lot of crazy video stuff going on, but I talk a lot with my hands, so maybe check it out sometime. Especially if you want to see me do my crowd killing impression that I did during the floater bit. But other than that, be nice to people. If you're listening to a song makes you think about somebody, fucking send it to them. That shit makes my day. If you're doing the same and you're like, hey, Dorian or Matt or Jake might like this, slide into my DMs, slide into the DMs of the pod on Instagram. Go out and support your local record store. Hit up Moonrock Records. Cali's the fucking shit. Uh, if you are okay with being in small spaces, go ahead and check out House of Records. They're all right too. But other than that, June 27th, come down to the Graduate Hotel to hang out with me, Matt, and our friend Marv. We're going to be slinging some cards. We've got some great shit that's going to be there. I'm going to take a look at what Matt's going to have there tomorrow. And I don't think I'm mentally prepared for what he's got. And I know that I'm going to have some cool shit there. And Marv's collection is out of this world too. So go ahead and see us. Come stop by, talk music,
Come
talk
see
about
us.
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, come see me.
See.
That's a this has been a local heavy podcast. That's a local reference for you Eugeniites. Shout out Robert Sachs Mattress. But yeah, go ahead, give us a follow on Instagram at What You Spinning, me at Dorian Dilly. And we'll catch you in about 2 weeks' time to talk about some banging albums. It's What You Spinning. Thanks. Peace.